relocating our port property, then the port winds up being a lead. If the port infrastructure is about expanding or creating new infrastructure in order to facilitate a business expanding, then the port will be a lead role of that. When it comes to the business operation side of things, where if there's some tax incentives for expanding, some tax incentives for hiring new employees, other types of business guidance, and the EDC takes the lead in that, along with the SBDC also winds up working on that, supporting the business planning strategy side of things. So I think the division actually falls along the infrastructure lines is where the port winds up taking the lead, because that's what we're trying to do, is help provide some type of infrastructure that lowers the barriers or the costs for companies to expand, because we're financing it over the long run, and they can put their dollars into their operating costs. And so that's where we look at where we can support it.
So it sounds like the business model is to work with EDC to gather intelligence. You'll take a look at the opportunities they present. If it sounds like you want to look at your infrastructure, I see Randy Johnson in the audience, president of EDC. And Randy, I'm wondering about the communication that occurs with EDC and the port, where you bring forward ideas and discuss, maybe it's infrastructure or something else, a barrier for the business to expand.
First of all, let me say, well, thank you for asking, and of course, our executive director's over here too. But first of all, I appreciate the port. If the EDC doesn't work closely with the port, a lot of things won't happen, number one. Number two, I would say, because of the communications that I think have been continued to improve, and hopefully will continue to improve even more, that the interface and information, I can tell you just looking at the emails over this weekend, that there were emails between the port and the EDC about potential opportunities, and that's just critical that we have those if we're going to meet and possibly expand with either new businesses or maybe in the case of expansion, etc. So I don't know if that answers your question, Bill.
But your business model is to use the EDC as a source of intelligence to gather ideas and feed it into the port. The SBDC is another area that, at least we're taking a look at it for budgeting this year. I just know they're structured so that they get $1 federal dollar for every local dollar that they receive, and the port helped quite a bit last year.
Yes, we put $30,000 into our budget to support the EDC, for SBDC, $23,000 of cash, and about $7,000 worth of free lease space. And they would not be in our community, if the port hadn't stepped up and said, we'll cover that. They, as you probably remember, the SBDC had to cut back on 2 locations, and both were in Congressman Kilmer's district, and he said, heck no. And so, but in order for, the SBDC is funded through the SBA, Small Business Administration, and the administrator of that program is Washington State University, and they did not have funds to open an office out here, so they used some reserves that they have, but we can't. So in order to get them here, we had to commit to fund the entire additional amount required. But I have said, this should not be only on the port's shoulders to do this. We did fund a full $30,000 for 2016, but we'd absolutely like to see the counties and the cities that are receiving direct support from Kevin Holt from the SBDC. I know he goes to chamber meetings and presents often. I'm wowed by him personally. I'd like to see other entities putting some skin in the game to make sure that he can stay. That organization will be here as an asset for our communities and our businesses.
Well, I really recommend the support. It's kind of strange. One of the things Kevin does really well is if you've got a great idea, he can tell whether or not it's going to fail, and he try to talk you out of it. further on. That's actually, I cut you off.
Yeah, no, it's just, it sounds like the SBDC is an important agency, in terms of the port's perspective. And that's really helpful to hear. I've been, trying to understand the work that they do layered with the work that the EDC does, you know, in some instances layered with the work that the port does. And I think it's important to understand, you know, where everyone's strongest role is, so it's helpful to know what an important role that organization plays.
Yeah. Well, as I see Kevin, he's got his master's, he's been doing it for decades, he is a business counselor. He sits down with the business owners. That is nothing that port staff does or has the skill set to do. So he has met with several of our tenants that have been struggling to try to help them restructure their business model and their business plan, and gives that counseling, that coaching to them. He doesn't do the work for them, but he gets them started in the right direction and puts them in touch with the right people that can help.
It's probably one of the strongest resources we have for small business. And what we're doing with the lodging tax helps with regard to tourism, that he can handle any business sector.
So maybe this would be a good time for me to start off the topic.